everyone, and welcome to another News Coolum video. So we're starting this video out in Bishop, California. It's a nice Sunday morning. When I just checked, it was at like 85%, and now it dropped to like 80% because I think the Bolt EV is using battery conditioning. It's about 28 degrees out right now. There's snow all in the mountains up to the west of here. So, it cooled off a decent amount, and I think the Bolt EV is using some battery conditioning just to bring the baseline temperature up. And so my plan is maybe first stop, even though I really probably don't need to stop there and charge, I think is going to be Levining, because I want to plug into the level 2 there and then maybe go and have an actual breakfast and instead of just some coffee and yogurt. But what I'm hoping is the level 2 charger will actually maybe bring the battery up to a little closer to operating temperatures, so I can just go from there. Oh, and I think I do want to stop by Mammoth, and now I forget whether Mammoth is before or after. Oh well, let's visit Mammoth Village. I've never visited it before, so let's get ready to head out. All right, well, I can say I saw it. Mammoth Lakes. I mean, it's up to 25. We got down to almost 10 degrees coming through the valley getting over here. I guess maybe I forgot how far Mono Lake and Levining was from Bishop, so we were going to use a decent amount of juice getting there anyway. I guess maybe I should have tried to charge to full when I was in Bishop, but I don't know that would have really mattered, like in terms of conditioning the battery or anything else. It was going to take a while, and I've been trying to push to charge up to 100% while the battery is relearning, but I don't think it was necessary for this trip. What I might do though is do a quick check of plug share and just see if there are any new charging points at all, like level 2 or anything else in Mammoth Lakes. One of the things that I would criticize the public charging providers for is they haven't even built level 2 charging in some place like Mammoth Lakes, which I think is a very serious mistake. And it's part of the reason why when I go up to Susanville, they finally added a charge point, and then a few years later, Tesla finally added a supercharger. But Susanville, for a long time, only had 2 destination chargers. And when I asked the guy about why he didn't install a universal J1772, he said it was because the Tesla installers told him that don't worry, no other electric vehicles can get up here anyway, so don't bother. Right, because he'd have to go out of pocket for the level 2 charger. They'd install it and permit it for free, but it's an extra $1,000 or so, and they said, well, no other electric vehicles can make it up here anyway. You're only going to be serving Teslas. Well, that same sort of mentality still exists for some reason in Mammoth Lakes, and I think it's a big mistake that there aren't at least, like I said, I see this more as a destination stop than a freeway stop. But with, GM pushing out some of their 20 kilowatt level 2 AC chargers, I think Mammoth Lakes is a perfect location for a pretty wide distribution of level 2 AC chargers. I'm probably going to stop by Rite Aid on my way out, which is the one store I kind of knew that was here that I wanted to see. But it's kind of I think it's a mistake to not have at least some basic level 2 AC charging here. So either way, I'm not going to waste too much time just sitting around. It's early morning. This seems like a sleepy town, and I'm probably just going to, like I said, head up to Lee Vining, plug in, let the battery warm up, and charge a little bit. Yeah, I'm seeing an Ioniq 5 driving by. So, that's the thing, is if you get a level 2 charger, it's behind a paywall. So, and I'm not staying the night here. So I think that's a big missed opportunity here. But let's get ready to get back on the road again. We're here in Lee Vining, Gus Hess Park, Pioneer Pavilion. There's already another Bolt EV here. I'm actually pretty sure that other Bolt EV owner is already done charging, because I think their green light is solid. So on the Bolt EV, they switched it from the Volt originally. So when the light is blinking, it's actively charging. When the light is solid green, it's plugged in and accepting power, but the battery is full. So it could simply be that their battery is conditioning. Either way, we're both able to charge, and like I said, it looks like they might be full anyway. It's down to like 23. We've been seeing low teens, mid-teens on the drive through here, so temperatures are fluctuating, I think, with elevation and just sun exposure, things like that. There's a little bit, of snow. There was some spin drift on the road. A little bit of snow is coming down here, but I think this is a really isolated. There's no like storm front coming through or anything like that. So, and then of course I just looked at the map again just to remind myself, and we actually have enough juice, I think, now to get to Bridgeport, but kind of the same thing. I haven't even checked on PlugShare to see what Bridgeport's status is. I was doing this anyway more just to warm the battery. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to let the car soak up some level 2 juice, go in, have a breakfast, maybe a hot cup of coffee, hot cup of joe, warm myself up a little bit. But yeah, let's head into town, and then just let the car do its thing. Yeah, I can feel the seat heater coming on by default, so I know that there's some additional power being pulled away from the car's charging. So I'm just going to let the battery take what it needs for the battery heater, and just to charge up a little bit of extra range in case we need it. So, time for breakfast. Well, it looks like the other Bolt EV owner already took off, but yeah, it's still 23 degrees, had a nice breakfast, had some coffee, got a piece of pie to go. But I still want to, like I said, air up my tires. Probably actually just all 4 of them, because right now one is down like 4 or 5 PSI, but all of them, as far as cold pressure, are still about 4 to 5 PSI below what I would normally set them at cold pressure, and we have been driving already, so I'll probably just pump them all up to right around 39 PSI, and then and leave the car on, maybe let the heater run a little bit. It doesn't really matter, because the power is either coming from the charger or from the battery at this point. So the Bolt EV can max out that charger, so either way. And then we do have a little bit of snow falling. Not too bad, though. It's, like I said, doesn't look like an actual storm. It just sort of looks like an isolated cell. So I'm going to go ahead and pump up the tires, and and then we'll get ready to head out. arrived here in Bridgeport, and one of the chargers is up but listed as unavailable. One of the heads on this 350 kilowatt charger is down. Now the app lists the other 350 kilowatt charger as up, but the screen is dead, but the payment reader is on. So I wonder if Electrify America, what they're doing is they're getting a lot of their data based on the credit card reader status and not necessarily the charger status, which is why chargers that are listed as up are actually down and chargers that are listed as down are actually up. Strange, but either way, I sent them a ticket to let them know that 2 of the 4 chargers here aren't operating right now, at least not that I can see. I haven't checked the CHAdeMO yet, but that unit looks like it is up and operating. And so is the one that I'm on. Now, it also looks like my Bolt EV's battery did not heat up properly. So I did the little heater check that I do. Is when I turn on the heater and then compare how much power the Bolt EV says is going into the battery versus how much is coming from the charger. And if the charger spikes up, like this charger was showing like 34 kilowatt coming out of the charger into the Bolt EV, while the Bolt EV was only accepting like 24, 25 kilowatt. Well, that tells me that the power bottleneck is not with the charger, but it's with the Bolt EV itself. So, I think right now the Bolt EV is still cold. We did see highs as almost like 40s, but ironically, that was at higher elevation. So like we were at 8,000 feet and it was 45 degrees, and then we dropped down here and it's still in the 20s. So I guess cold air does sink down into the valleys. Maybe that's the reason. I was just surprised to see 40s on the drive in, but it still wasn't enough to actually warm the battery. And apparently putting it on level 2 also didn't. So this is another reason why I really think GM, one of the things that they need to do, and they've started to do it on their newer Ultium platforms, but they really need it on the Bolt EV. Even if it's an over-the-air update, just a battery conditioning button. And like ideally it would work when you're on level 2 or DC fast charging, where you say, hey, look, put all of this energy into warming the battery, but I'd also like it to be able to work when driving. So, it's a huge missed opportunity. And like I said, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It just can be a dumb button that activates the heater if the battery is, under 70 degrees and warms it to 75, and it activates the cooler and chills it down to, 75 degrees if it's over, say, 80 or whatever those specific battery parameters would be for like an ideal charging temperature. I think it's around 77 degrees Fahrenheit for the battery cells in the Bolt EV. I check these sites for a reason when I'm driving, because I don't want 4 EV owners to be caravanning up to the mountains and all show up here wanting to charge and then find out that only 2 of them can be charging at a time. That kind of sucks. Well, and wouldn't you know it, sure enough, an e-tron owner pulled in. So that's now 2 cars charging with only 2 out of 4 Electrify America chargers working, it looks like. So I let them have the 350 kilowatt. I don't think there's much of a difference for them between 150 and 350. But trying to squeeze into this spot the way it's configured with the CHAdeMO connector, it really doesn't work for the e-tron all that well. It really doesn't even work for my car, actually. So I just went ahead and said, you know what, I'll move over, let you take that one. We're still only charging at like 30 kilowatt right now, but we're up to like 60%, 58% right now. So, I'm letting it just keep charging. Like I said, one of the things that's interesting about this is the calculations on the Bolt EV seem to still be understating the amount of energy. So it's basically moving up in percentage faster than matches the amount of energy that's being dispensed by the charger, if that makes sense. So it still does seem like my Bolt EV's BMS is locked in on the idea that it has 55 kilowatt hours of usable capacity, more or less, maybe 54. And it's just laser focused on that number. And it just doesn't seem to know how to get past that. And it doesn't seem like charging to 100% is helping anything. I mean, in the meantime, the car is still fully drivable. And like I said, I can still feel the additional capacity, even though it doesn't seem like it's being reflected properly. Part of it, I think, is being reflected as better than actual efficiency. It's still learning, and I guess we're learning with it. I haven't even planned out my next stop yet. I think it was Monitor Pass is the way I went last time, heading north from Bridgeport, but I don't think I want to take that pass in current conditions, even though it is open. So I might actually go all the way up through Tahoe and then down Interstate 80. So I think that might be the fastest, bestest, clearest route to go from here. All right, so I talked to the Audi driver. I guess they're coming back from Mammoth. We just chatted about the chargers a little bit. But just some closing thoughts before we head out, because I think like I said, I'm heading out through Tahoe, maybe Carson City. But charger number 3 actually came online while we were there just chatting. And I think what happened is because I submitted a ticket, someone just went into the office and rebooted the charger. So, the third charger came right back up again, basically right after I submitted a ticket. I've already spent so much time here between chit-chatting and everything else. Like I said, I left farther north than I've ever left before, and I left earlier, so I have a little bit of leeway in terms of the amount of time that the trip is taking. I think I might just do that. Just relax here a little bit, enjoy the scenery, and then go ahead and head out and then check out a couple of sites along the way. And then this way, I'll also have the freedom of being able to stop to charge if I want to along the way, because there are a couple of one-off EVgo stations, and if I don't, I can skip them. We're here at the Donner Summit. I decided to stop here. I was going to stop earlier and realized I didn't need to. And then I was actually going to charge longer in Bridgeport, but I also didn't need to. So we got to take the nice scenic route back down through South Lake Tahoe, over Highway 89, where there's nothing on either side of the road. So just a cool drive, fun drive. I mean, I guess literally cold drive just because of the temperature. But yeah, I just needed to use the bathroom, but I had plenty of range left. So I figured I'll use a rest stop. And then I showed up here and nobody's parked in front of the charger. So I pulled in and the charger looks like it's working. So I plugged in, and yeah, that's I guess the end of the story. So, just charging at 35 kilowatt. Not a super fast charger, I don't think, but also the battery is probably still cold. But we're not going to stay here for too long. I actually had to load up the Bolt EV's Wi-Fi just so I could get onto PlugShare, just so I could map my next stop on my phone, because I don't have cell phone coverage here, apparently. But the Bolt EV's Wi-Fi antenna through, the AT&T Wi-Fi has way better connection than a cell phone can. It's a much higher power antenna. So yeah, it all just kind of works out. You just have to use the tools at your disposal. But yeah, I'm not going to stay here at all. I mean, we're, I guess, literally burning daylight. No, I want to head out. There's a charger I want to test out, And so we'll head there, and we should have plenty of range to make it because it's pretty much all downhill from here. So let's get ready to hit the road. In Rocklin, California, just off of Interstate 80, and I'm at a 76 gas station with 6 tritium 50 kilowatt V-fill chargers. And I really think this is maybe a model that we can expect to see more of in the future. We're starting to see more and more gas stations adding chargers. Now, I don't know that this is necessarily the best configuration. A lot of people have complained because the chargers were installed backward. I actually don't think that's an issue, given there's a walkway and everything else to get to the interface of the charger. And plus, they're tritium, they're Australian, so the Coriolis effect, the chargers spin around differently. But no, I don't think that's, to me, that's not the bigger concern. The bigger concern here is this is a gas station ideally located just off of Interstate 80, and these are 50 kilowatt chargers. I mean, it's not 2016 anymore, and there's no pull-through stalls or anything of that nature. So this is one of those things where I look at these chargers and I say, yeah, sure, there's food around, there are different restaurants and things like that, and it is ideally located in terms of, travel, but the problem is, like I said, it's technically on site with the gas station. So why would you be installing 50 kilowatt chargers instead of something much more robust? Now, these are also, I would say that they're non-networked, but they actually went through EV Connect. And for whatever reason, EV Connect lost my account. I tried to log in. I couldn't even log into the app. And it's really confusing on these chargers right now because it appears that they're free. So if you insert a credit card, it doesn't read, it doesn't register, it doesn't throw an error message, but nothing happens, right? Because it's not accepting a payment, yet it's requiring a payment in order to start. And that payment is simply to open up the app. So you open up the app and log in as a guest, and it will automatically activate the charger. So it's sort of counterintuitive, right? You'd think if these are operating for free right now, you just press the start button and it will activate. But that's not what's happening. It's requiring you to go through the app, even as a guest, go in, and then it will activate the charger. It won't take any other payment, it appears. And then, like I said, EV Connect, for whatever reason, seems to have dropped my my membership. So yeah, that's not ideal. But yeah, overall, I just wanted to check it out because there are a lot faster charging sites around the area. And then, of course, I haven't had a chance to test out the Bolt EV with the new battery pack with tritium chargers yet. Now, these aren't the newer models that ChargeNet is using. These are the older tritium V-fill models. But I've always been able to use these in the Bolt EV. So there still might be something new with the newer tritium that's causing an issue, maybe with older Bolt EVs. I don't know. It's a little bit frustrating at the beginning here. I think once they start accepting payments, it's going to be a little bit easier because at that point you just put in your card and then that should activate. You don't necessarily need a membership. But yeah, overall, it's just, like I said, it would have been an amazing site 4 years ago. Amazing. But now, with a lot of faster charging EVs that are towing, it's just not what you would expect for this type of a location. The number of chargers is fine. I think 6 chargers and whatever it is, 4, 6, 8 gas pumps behind us. That's a pretty good balanced interstate stop where you're going to be able to draw in basically any traveler. But the problem is, of course, like I said, the configuration of the chargers and the speed of the chargers. And surprise, surprise, there's actually a 7th charger here. You couldn't tell because it was being blocked by a gas car parked in front of it. Not cool, Zeus. But anyway, so we're gonna head out now, and yeah, like I said, I'll have one more charging stop before we go home. But I don't think I'm going to make any other stops other than maybe if I need to use the bathroom or something like that. It's getting late enough now that I just I've lollygagged around enough. I just want to head home. So let's hit the road. Well, that's kind of a bummer. I got here, I guess this is Main Plus Market. It's a gas station, almost like a travel plaza with a convenience store, car wash, all of that. They have a free wire here, and I think this might be maybe part of the Chevron thing where they're adding these free wire units to their different gas stations. And if so, that's cool. I'd like to see that. Unfortunately, though, it looks like this one is down. The free wire units do have an interesting indicator where it's red running down the side. So if it's green, then it's good, it's on, it's ready to go. If it's red, then apparently it's out. Clearly, I can't charge here. Just want to take a quick look at the charger, and then we'll hit the road. Decided to stop in Dunnigan. It looked like we were probably going to end up being about 20 miles short of getting home. I don't know, I want to say comfortably with a decent buffer, at least a 10-digit percentage buffer left. And that's just because the speeds are increasing, the temperatures are dropping, the elevation is increasing. So either way, just there's no reason to risk running out of juice. Might as well stop for 5-10 minutes and just push up the percentage a little bit. Plus, I wanted to stop here because I stopped at the Chevron Station. Of all of the charge points, right, it seems like every single one of them, even the one-offs, they replaced those Tritium RT50s with their own ChargePoint Express 250s. They've been replacing them all. There just aren't really very many Tritium units left under ChargePoint's banner, yet this one is still there, and for whatever reason they haven't replaced it, because to me that would have been the number one priority to replace, because that Tritium unit in particular has had nothing but problems. I think it has been down far more than it has been up, and I don't know what ChargePoint has done with it, right? And I mean, I know that they have their sort of program where you buy a service plan with them, and if you don't, it's sort of caveat emptor. But I think whoever bought that charger, if it is the Chevron Station or whatever, I think they have a pretty strong argument that ChargePoint installed faulty hardware, and that, ChargePoint might need to replace it with a CPE 250 under their own cost or whatever, and then maybe ChargePoint can kick it back across the Pacific to Tritium and say, fix it, or whatever you're going to do with it. Because, I mean, Electrify America had to do the same thing with Efasic. And like I said, I mean, this is coming from someone who relied a lot on those tritium units. I have very much cooled on my positive spin on tritium. I mean, the newer ones look great. They look like they work well. They're certainly an upgrade to those older V-fills, but I wouldn't know because they're still not compatible with an older Bolt EV that I can tell. So, I mean, even that 76 site in Rocklin, it's like, why did you install 50 kilowatt chargers? There was the other one at that I saw, I believe it was at Lost Hills, yeah, in on I-5 with that travel charger. I mean, but again, it's those sort of individually branded chargers that are going in as tritium for those different travel plazas, but they're finicky chargers. So I don't know what tritium is doing to fix them, but this one in particular is very much needed because this Electrify America site is also, hasn't been great. This was the first Electrify America site I had a chance to use, or at least the first one in Northern California that I had the chance to use. And it's a crucial junction. This Dunnigan, this town of Dunnigan, like whether it's Road 6 or Road 8, I called this out a long time ago that this was a location where there absolutely should be charging, because you have basically this Y where traffic going south will either split and go to the Bay Area or continue down into the Central Valley. Traffic coming north will converge, right, from either the Bay Area or the Central Valley. It's just a perfect location for chargers. So we've seen Electrify America put their chargers in here, but this site is not super reliable. We have one reduced power charger. The Chatamo 150 kilowatt CCS charger is still down. Last time I was here, 2 out of 4 of them were down. And I'm using the 350 just because it was easier to pull nose into. I could have backed in and used the other 150, but I think that one wasn't even up the last time I was here. And this is those ABB Terra HP units, which also have been problematic. And so I don't know if Electrify America is going to come through and finally rip these out and replace them with their updated BTC Power or Signet units, the newer ones with the single cord. I think I'm done complaining. I've charged enough. And actually, that was one thing I was going to say. And because I know that like Nikki from Transport Evolved and I have gone back and forth over this, and I think Kyle, he and I still haven't had a chance to just have a chat about this. But I have a slightly different opinion than those two in terms of current public charging reliability. So, like Nikki with Transport Evolved, I think she's seeing the reliability dropping, and Kyle, I don't know if he's seeing the reliability dropping, but he's seeing more of an issue with increased usage. And so I'd be probably closer to Kyle's assessment in that I've been using these Electrify America chargers since they've gone in the ground, and they were never reliable. I mean, that's the harsh truth of it, is Electrify America's chargers were never reliable. If it wasn't one thing, it was another thing. So their app has improved, reliability in terms of getting them started. It made it much easier to activate a charge than it was before. But most of the time when they put a site in, 1 or 2 of the chargers was down quite often. The thing is, and this is where maybe I agree with Kyle a little bit more, is that the issue is we're seeing more and more usage now. And so before, it didn't matter to me if 1 or 2 of the Electrify America chargers were down, because I was one of only, it was maybe me and one other person using the charger at any given time. But now it's possible to show up and have, 4 out of 6 or 6 out of 8 chargers completely occupied. When I stopped in Hesperia, there were only a couple of cars there. By the time I got out of the store and got back to my car, that entire row of 8 chargers was filled up. I told people there were 2 more chargers on the other side of the parking lot, 2 more Electrify America units, but they were all stuck over there. Now, one of them was iced, so that's true. So seven electric vehicles trying to charge, and really 8 or 9 because there were 2 pulling around when I left. So yeah, when you have those kind of numbers trying to use the chargers, having a 50 to 66% reliability on chargers at a given site just isn't high enough, right? So anyway, I've ranted enough. We have another, I don't know how many miles to go, at least another hour probably of driving, but we have plenty of range, plenty of juice. Let's hit the road. Unfortunately, I lost the video footage of me closing out this trip, but suffice to say that I made it home perfectly fine. This was sort of the third part culmination of my return from the LA Auto Show, so all told, a 1,600 mile road trip just down from Northern California, around Southern California, and then returning back up the eastern side of the Sierras. Now, one thing I wanted to note, though, is there are a lot of comments that I continue to see about California drivers not really understanding weather conditions or charger shortages or things like that that are being experienced by other EV owners in the rest of the United States. And I really think that this trip is an example of how that's not completely accurate. There are parts of California where there are still 300 to 400 mile gaps without public fast charging. Areas basically the size of some eastern states that you can't even pass in an EV. So I would advise against, passing too much judgment on my experience as not being applicable to the rest of the country, because while my experiences aren't maybe directly applicable to other parts of the country, there are aspects of them that are very similar regardless of where you are in the country. One advantage that I do think that I have being in California is having that ability to showcase some of these newer sites that maybe haven't been built out yet in the rest of the country, and that's kind of why I still do these trips, is I get almost a preview in California of what's coming and what's available, and hopefully these networks do make their way out to other areas where, for better or worse, EV owners who are relying on the public charging infrastructure really only have experience with Electrify America. There's really no other options except for maybe scattered portions of other networks like ChargePoints or EVgo's or Francis Solar or whatever the local charging providers might be in that region. But as far as what's coming for the public charging infrastructure, if California is a preview rather than simply an exception, there's a lot of exciting times ahead for EV owners who rely on the public charging infrastructure pretty much anywhere in the United States. And I would say that in the next 2 to 4 years, at the longest, we're going to be able to cross the country in pretty much any 200-mile EV in a very convenient and easy manner. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful, informative. I know it went a little bit long, but there's a lot of content, great sights to see going through the Eastern Sierras. And if you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And thank you for watching.